Okay, now I'll start again here.
Okay, sorry about that, Patrick.
Do you people have the documents downloaded, and have you read them?
Yes.
I haven't read it.
It's two different things to read something and understand it and just download it and let it sit there and wait for somebody to tell you, hey, we're getting remedy. We're there, okay? When we know that we're the U.S. Treasury Bailor, and that we want to be a neutral, and we want to stand in neutrality, we can't side with either of the warring factions out here. And the United States corporation that's operating in bankruptcy is a warring factor. So if we've got our bailments there with them, that we're bailing them out, we are basically not a neutral any longer. You've taken sides with one of the enemies, with one of the belligerents. So as soon as you stepped out of Switzerland, now you're free game. Because our Switzerland is the United States of America constitutional government. And Switzerland basically held all the gold there. They had countries all around them. France, Germany, Italy, all at war. They had all the gold in Switzerland. But they stood as a neutral. Therefore, they maintained their rights. You go inside with one of the belligerents, and you've lost your rights. That's the kicker right there. That's why you need to read the documents. I got them written up now. That we're coming in as a neutral, and we're going to neutralize these items out here. There's a Treasury/Attorney General's office in that bankruptcy court that is there to provide the settlements. They're the bailee of our accounts held in bailment. Then the corporations out here, they all have their own bailee. And like I said, BAR stands for Bailee Arbitration Representative. An attorney. And they can be a judge. Basically, they're all Bailee arbitration. You've got to stay out of the war between the bailees. Because it's really one bailee against another bailee. You just have to get the other bailee to the table in that court action. And that's the bailee, the U.S. Treasury/Attorney General's bailee that is holding our accounts, our bailments. We bailed out the United States corporation. We bailed out the state of whatever corporation. And then all these other corporate bailees are the ones out here at war. So it's a bailee war that we're operating in. You let the bailees fight it and stay out of the frail. You don't say you're a natural American. You're a neutral American. Big difference. You can see how I wrote up the facts to the Inspector General. And we have rights of self-defense and right of search when we stand as a neutral per the Constitution. We're not supposed to be at war. And it's documented throughout the Bible that the ones that stood as neutrals were the ones that made out. Daniel, Moses, Jesus, all of them. Most all the prophets they were neutrals. That's why they couldn't be harmed. But if you're still one of the warring factions, and you've sided with one side or the other, then they can take you out any time. You have to declare that you are a neutral. Then we get these accounts and see the bailments that we have right now. All is holding our share of all the funds for our lifetime that were owed to the Treasury, the neutral Treasury of the United States of America. So we have to take our bailments that we have that are holding the assets that belong to the neutral Treasury, liquidate those bailments, and then go place them into the neutral Treasury depositary account. Just like depositing your money in a Swiss bank account. A neutral bank. You have a safety deposit box there. You don't have an interest-bearing account. It's a neutral bank. You can look at quite a few movies out there that have shown that going in there to a Swiss bank. Number one, you had to show that you were alive. The dead can't access that. And we have the full faith and credit, and belief is a faith. So when you start using the proper words, then we will be out of the system. It's that damn simple. Now, whether you want to do it or not, I'm trying to get other people out here so that we can hit this from several different places. So that basically whoever comes in and gets their thing through the court, see, I have to send mine in by mail. I don't think my truck could make it 2 hours up and 2 hours back. But basically, when we stand as a neutral and we just keep hammering them, even if you need to send a fax into the chief judge, come in there. I'm coming in as a neutral American. An American neutral. I am not at war. And I've ordered the neutralization of my bailments. They're no longer to be used as a supporting one side of the war or another. That's about it. I don't know how I can say it anymore. It's that damn simple. You stop going to war. And I've said that numerous times, that we've got to stop going to war. We've got to be in honor. But no, we've got to be in a state of neutrality. A neutral. We can coast in neutral. Just go out there and put your car in neutral, but do it while you're on the side of a hill, and you'll coast down the hill. You don't need to be in gear. You get in gear, and then you're in a warring situation. You're grinding the gears. You're firing things. Pretty simple metaphor, but basically that's about it. You can come up with your own metaphors on this. Just because I wrote these words up doesn't mean that you guys can't go out there and try and make them better. But to make them better, you have to know what I'm saying, and then you have to know what the words you're going to make better in the process. And if you don't take the time and the effort, you're not worthy of coming out of the system. And like I said, you might as well just stick a gun to your head and just blow your brains out, because that's what the hell they're going to do to you sooner or later. Because you're at war. And you will be treated as fodder in that war. The people of Switzerland, basically, even though they were neutral, they basically still had the right to bear arms. But if you're not in a state of neutrality, you don't have the right to bear arms, because you don't have any of the protections of the Bill of Rights. You only think you do. And they only let a few people think that they have those rights to try and control the rest of the people out here that are running around accepting the system the way it is. Accepting a false religion, a false belief, which is contrary to what the First Amendment says. You don't accept anything. You have to have full belief in the system. That means you have to understand the system. And until you fully understand the system, you will never have the neutral belief. And you'll always get over siding with one factor or the other. So all these items, basically all your bills, your utility bills, your property taxes, is between one Bailee to another Bailee. The county treasurer Bailee, the state corporation Bailee, and the Bailee up at the bankruptcy court that is holding our bailments. And then you're caught in the middle in the damn frail, trying to side with one or the other, or getting picked off by both. Because you don't know where you are and don't know who you are.
Yeah, we drank the Kool-Aid.
Whatever you drank. Bit the damn apple.
You know what I mean? It's like we swallowed what they were dishing out. They were teaching us this stuff. Like,
yeah, you bit the apple. Yeah. The rotten apple.
somebody is gone. Are you gone there, Patrick? Or are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, good. I got quiet all of a sudden.
Well, it's Don that has a lot of background noise, and I muted him, and he unmuted himself, so I muted him again.
Okay. I'm done talking. I've done posting documents. Now, do you guys have any questions of what I just said? Responses to what I said?
Well, it makes sense because they do like to wage war, and they've been doing it all the time, putting crap in the air and the food and the water and everything else.
Don't go there. Just go what we understand about the monetary system. Okay?
Got to be neutral. Otherwise, we're warring.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Look, Patrick.
What better way? Oh.
What?
Hey. What better way to be neutral than to become stateless?
Then become what?
Stateless. In other words, not picking sides in the global
you just declare neutrality, okay? And that you're siding with the Constitution. See, neither one of these, the state of Iowa or the state of whatever out there, they're not operating by the Constitution of the state. They're a corporate. They're all capital. And then the United States, all capital, isn't operating by the Constitution. They're operating by their codes out here and everything, and fraudulent statutes that have never been contested in the system. They're the bankrupt that we bailed out. And then instead of the assets going to the Treasury, they put them into the people's accounts. Because like I said, the last call, after you die, they put a death certificate on those accounts. After 10 years, they turn around and pick it up as abandoned property. So it don't go back to the Treasury, the de jure Treasury of the country, the national Treasury. And like I said, in the first volume of the Statutes at Large, the 5th Congress, Session 2, Chapter 49, it clearly states that that Treasury that is per the Constitution is the people's Treasury. You got into debt, you petitioned the Secretary of the Treasury to bail you out. Secretary of the Treasury was the bailee over that Treasury account. We, the people, are the bailors of the Treasury account.
Right.
It's all about bailee and bailor. There is no damn trust in this damn process. The way everybody thinks of a trust. And I told people stay away from trust. Because that's a total false belief item also. You never trust. You were never supposed to tempt thy Lord thy God. That means you never trust another person with your assets. Because if you are, you're tempting their God. And their God will always work against you, because that's just the way of the system. You want your stuff, you hang on to it. You defend it. But you defend it as a neutral. Read the definitions that I posted up there about neutral. neutrality. Those are just basic. You can get more detailed definitions of them.
So when you sent your stuff to the bankruptcy court with your endorsed receipt, did you also add a letter to the U.S. trustee? You didn't have to?
Not yet. I'm going to send one just like what I sent to the Inspector General today.
Yeah.
When I sent a letter, a fax to the Inspector General of the Treasury,
yeah,
that had the phrase right of self-defense in it, that's when the Secret Service came to visit me to question me about that.
Yeah.
But I didn't state that I was in a state of neutrality.
Yeah. Yeah, they take those words as using guns or something, because even though you're using your pen and your mind, they take it the other way.
It don't make a damn bit of difference. If you're a neutral, you have a right of self-defense. Like I said,
yeah.
all the people of Switzerland, they all were supposed to be trained in how to fire a gun. They were all supposed to have guns.
And ammo, yeah. They give them ammo and everything around here.
Yeah, so that doesn't put you up in a state of war. That puts you in a state of self-defense.
Right. Yeah, it's good to understand it that way. They don't understand it that way.
Yeah, well, that's because all the people out here in this country basically are totally screwed up. Because they don't know how to read the Constitution. And none of the damn senators and congressmen know how to read the Constitution, because they weren't supposed to have an office. Their position was supposed to be in a unsalaried office of trust to the people, to represent the people and the state. The senators, the two senators, were supposed to be representing the state out here. The congressmen or the representatives were supposed to be representing the people. Look at the 9th and 10th Amendments to the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
It addresses states and people. So you had to have a representative for both in there. One to represent the state's rights, and one to represent the people's rights.
Right.
But see, nobody looks about that, and then you can find out, whoa, wait a minute. That just made the damn 17th Amendment that turned around and made all the senators elected by the people. The senators are no longer representing the states. They're representing the people, the mob. In this form of false government. You got to look at the problems, and then you can start trying to find the solutions. But most people just argue the problem.
You have a new word on here at your signing. You say "in vita witnessed." See,
yes.
Signed and sealed.
And the word is in the definitions that I posted.
Okay. I haven't found them yet. I'll look for them.
It's Latin for in life.
I didn't hear what
in life, alive, living. That's what it means.
Invite. Okay. Invite it. In
Yeah.
life, alive, living. Okay.
You're coming in as the living person, the alive person.
All right.
How many movies out here have used the word alive? He's alive. He's not dead. You operate in their world and you're dead. Because you're going to soon be real dead in their life. Whether they kill you or whether the other warring factor kills you. And then puts a claim against your account with a birth or a death certificate. So that they can, after 10 years, they can turn around and claim it. Traffic tickets. Why are they on the books for 3 years? Why does the insurance company raise your rates for 3 years if you've got a traffic ticket? Because they have bonded those items. They're under a 3-year bond. Fully supported by the definition in Bouvier's, I think it was. You go in it to the comptroller of the currency. All bonds had to be removed at the end of 3 years. Now, I think it referenced the military, but basically that's where we are. We're at war. All these bonds are warring bonds, bonds of war.
Yep.
Yeah, you go into a court case, into one of these bankrupt, either state court, and see everything out here, they're all operating in bankruptcy. You put get a court case filing number. You have just placed a bond. You've allowed that warring party to bond your assets. So you're supporting them. You operate per the Constitution, you don't have to pay for these if you have to go to court. And then, basically, in this country, you definitely weren't supposed to be going to court as a debtor because you had the Treasury behind you, the neutral Treasury. The full faith and credit of the neutrality religion. Okay. I want feedback. You guys think I'm crazy? Stupid? Whatever. Tell me so.
Patrick, I want to talk to you real quick about the non-intervention piece where it talks about principle of non-intervention in the internal affairs of states. Also signifies a state should not otherwise intervene in a dictatorial way in the internal affairs of other states. So my question that I'd like you to elaborate on this order, Bailor Sub-bailment Settlement Order, can you tell me why the 3-day deadline is put in there? Do we know that that's how their process works?
No, that's not how their process works. Okay? That is death and resurrection. Okay? It's right out of the Bible. How long did Jesus stay in the tomb? How long did Jesus go to purgatory for? How many different times out there in the Bible does it call out the 3 days? See, that whole book is about banking. Just banking and unjust banking. Why can the postmaster declare war? Because after 3 days of commerce being stopped, he can declare war. Not the president, the postmaster general. Pearl Harbor. Basically, they had to wait 3 days before they declared war on Japan. They had to let them disrupt the commerce communications between the United States and the Philippines, our commerce.
So I'm just coming from a position of non-interference, and
we're not coming in from non-interference. We're coming in from a state of neutrality. And basically, the corporations are the ones that are interfering right now. Okay? You can't interfere with the rights of another state. Okay? But in the process that they're in right now, all the states are operating under the bankrupt United States Corporation. All the states are state of whatever, all capitalized. So that is not the de jure state that's out there. Follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the Constitution that says about interference from one state to another doesn't apply any longer because they're not following the damn Constitution.
Okay, along those lines, in the second paragraph, it says bailment, sub-bailment, and there, in that sentence, you're giving an order to prosecute all non-compliances, and what's coming up for me is prosecute all interferences as well.
Okay, you can put that in there. You want to cover interferences too? Add it in.
For sure.
See, I didn't have everything that I have right now, like in the initial bill that I sent in. I sent it in with accepted on it. Okay? But I tried to address it pretty damn well that it was the obligation of the U.S. Bailee to make the settlement. That I was not taking his obligation away from him. That I was using the word accepted as I accept this as a valid bill. Now you pay the bill out of the bailment that you're holding. See, I can contest that in a court action. I can defend my actions if I need to, but I will still be standing as a neutral. Now, with this new write-up, it's a lot more clearer, and you take out any implied items that they may have. When I use the word believed instead of accepted.
And then you also put in that second paragraph, post office inspectors, and I personally would like to have the international postal, because we're dealing with domestic terrorism, here with
We've
these
got the
corporations.
bureau offices right here in this country. We don't need to go to international processes.
Okay, so that's the title for the post office inspector here.
There is. When you get it in there and you approach it that you are neutral, now it has to go to the right post office inspector. See, we were coming in and going to the post office and to the Attorney General's office and everything else as a warning factor.
Right.
So we were going to the wrong people in those offices. We had to go to the neutral office.
Right.
If we come in a state of neutrality, they have to give us neutrality in return. That's why I kept trying to harp on about being in honor. But it wasn't being in honor, it was being in a state of neutrality. Some people understood that I was trying to infer that I was in a state of neutrality by being in honor. That's why they left me alone. That's why when the postal inspector came down and basically had a 4-inch binder and a 1-inch binder of letters and everything that I'd sent out, some with 3-cent stamps, some with basically saying, hey, this mail's already prepaid for, trying to send them through the mail. They were trying to claim me to committing mail fraud. I said, yes, I did that, and I'm standing in honor. Well, basically is what I was really saying. I was standing in neutrality. I just didn't know I was saying that. U.S. Marshals were sitting right there at the postal inspector, too, ready to arrest me. I got up and walked out of there. I've got not for hire on my windshield of my pickup. I've got on my back for a plate on my back of my vehicle, USA, elector. Well, to be an elector, you have to be in a state of neutrality in the country for the Constitution. You can't have sided with one side or the other. The other day, I drove into town, basically flashed my rear end of the pickup right in the damn police officer's face. I went into town today. He was going one direction, and I was going the other. He could look both at my front and my rear. I just wasn't wearing a seatbelt. But he didn't come after me. So I've done something that has basically, I just haven't pushed the issue, and as long as I'm not a threat to them, they can't threaten me. Do I have documented proof? Yes, in that form I do. I've had results in paying some bills. I don't have any receipts showing that. I just know that they haven't come after me, especially third-party debt collectors, when I refuse to say, I don't have a contract with you. Well, what are you doing in a contract? You're siding with the enemy. You're contracting to the enemy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we never thought of it that way before. We just blended in like the sheep, like a herd.
Yeah. They want you to contract to come out of your state of neutrality and go into a state of war, because you allow them to bond or whatever. You're at war, because all these bonds that they're writing are war bonds. You can go back into the statutes in the 19-teens or 1920s and search about war bonds. That's what they were doing under those. They were going to war with the people. And they were bonding the people under these war bonds. You get out of the system and operate in neutrality, then basically you can either pay out of your back pocket, or you can pay by borrowing from the Treasury and having the assets out of the Treasury converted. And see, you are an inheritor of the Treasury. That is we the people's Treasury. And if you go and get your assets, you will definitely have at least that much in the account, and it's going to be phenomenal for what you are going to deposit. It's in the billions. Why is it in the billions? because all the profits of the oil, the coal, the resources of the country that were supposed to be being placed in the national treasury for the people was put into our accounts. We have to stand up and take it out of their bailments, take it out of there and put it into the treasury. That's what we're supposed to do. We have a job to do. Now let's do the damn job and defend the country. That's our right of self-defense of the country and of our inheritance in the country. Otherwise, basically, if you don't get your assets out away from them in the form of bailments, they're going to take it all, and it will never go into the national treasury. And they will continue to fight their wars. That's simple.
And they got everybody going along with it. Happy as
I'm
lark.
sorry I sounded like I was being harsh on you for asking the questions that you were asking there, Miss, but I don't know. I guess I just get too fired up on this sometimes, and because I got a passion in it now, and my passion is growing stronger and stronger every day of my understanding of what's going on. And sometimes I think that the people ought to be right up there with me, and I just totally don't accept that you're not there with me, because I've tried to do everything out here and try and keep the people posted of where I am. And then from between the calls, I hope that you had basically gone out and done a little research so that basically you come back to the table and put some valid information into the system, other than just going out there and correcting my spelling words, and that be it. Come bring something back and say, maybe we should use this word. This word might be a little more appropriate in the situation. But it really gets to me when people try and come in and try and force me to use forms. We as the living have a living form. We don't need forms. We use letters. Okay? That is basically our way of communication. We put it down in letters, in writing. And writings are made up of letters. They're not made up of forms and numbers.
And check marks.
And they're definitely not created by the damn corporations in the du jour side of the matter. Corporations can't create anything. So there again, all their forms are false documents. They're documents of fraud, deception. Okay, now any comments? I throw a hell of a lot of shit at you guys. You ought to have some comments.
Patrick, I want to look at the documents in reverse order because I'm trying to organize in my mind exactly what to send in. Now, the last one was the U.S. Bailor's sub-bailment settlement order to the clerk of court. And down at the bottom, your attachment is the sub-bailment settlement sanctioned order. Is that really a reworking of the sanctioned replevin order?
Which document are you looking at?
I'm looking at the very, very last one you came. The subject, U.S. sub-bailment settlement order, the fax to the clerk of court of bankruptcy. And
I didn't fax anything to the clerk of the court.
No, you certified it. I'm sorry. You certified mailed it.
I sent a letter in, a one-page
Right.
letter that I had, okay?
Right.
And then to that letter, I put 3 documents, my DD-214s and my certificate of live birth
Okay.
as my bailment claims.
But you say down here as an attachment sub-bailment settlement sanctioned order. And 4 docs.
Yes,
3
okay,
documents.
the sanction, that one you're looking at right there, was to set off a traffic ticket or a hospital bill. That was a bill payment one.
Okay.
That simple little thing is what I'm using there, was to set off a bill with the endorsement on the bill.
Okay, the second page is the endorsement you use then. Okay.
Yes, the endorsement, you take the bill and you put your endorsement on, and then you attach it to that document. That's to pay the bill.
Okay.
Or to set off the bill, okay? You're telling the 2 bailees to settle the matter.
Okay. And the last page, the fax, was a separate document to just turn the Inspector General on to what we're doing.
Basically, I sent a copy of my U.S. Bailor sanctioned bailment replevin order page into him.
Oh.
To where I addressed my 3 bailments that were held at the bankruptcy court.
So,
Okay. The replevin being the liquidation.
Yes, not return. No, replevin means that it has to be returned to the rightful owner.
Okay. But it's a part of the process of liquidation. Okay, good. Okay, now that answers some of the question over. Then the document with the definitions, that goes on as utility bills?
No, that is just a reference document.
Okay.
To show you if you don't have the capability of doing a Microsoft publisher and putting the thing at an angle on your document, printing it on there,
Okay.
you handwrite what it says there at the top. You put a certified mail number on that bill also.
Okay.
Okay? And then you diagonally at 45 degrees across the bill, you write this statement. The other
Right.
down below is just word definitions for you to understand what I'm saying.
Right, okay. Because when I talked with you earlier...
We don't have to tell them what we're doing. They've got dictionaries. They're supposed to know what the hell we're doing.
Okay. And so that's the wording that when I called you, we changed to be the exact same wording that we have on your latest document with the neutrality endorsement.
Yeah, on that template that I sent you that shows it at a 45-degree angle.
Right, okay.
Now, you basically, your bailment account, all of these charges are going against your master sub-bailment account.
Right.
And that is your Social Security number without any dashes. You take the dashes out of your Social Security number, and then they don't know what number that is. But you leave the dashes in, and they will basically wipe it out because you're not supposed to be sending any Social Security numbers into them.
Okay.
But if there's no dashes in it, they don't know that that's a Social Security number.
Okay, and then the third last document was when you did your draw for your health bill. Now that draw can be used for also getting funds too, because you can say pay to himself.
No. You get out of the system. You will get your money. Okay?
Okay. And the endorsement that you have on the
They're not going to give you money while you're in the system because you're at war with them.
Okay.
Does it make sense? That's why I've never gotten anything. I was doing the documents all right. But if you are not a neutral, okay, and out of the system, you're not going to get any money from these warring partners. They ain't going to fund you to fight, to come out against them.
Okay, so the straw isn't going to work because we're still in the system. Okay, got it.
Right. The only
Yeah,
thing that
okay.
we can basically come in is basically stay in a state of neutrality, and then as a neutral bailor, they have to make these settlements, and they have to, when we order the liquidation of them, and we're going back to the other side, and then we inform the Inspector General and basically the U.S. trustee that we are in a state of neutrality, they have to comply.
Oh, okay. So the replevin order goes into the Inspector General. Got it.
Well,
But,
you can send a copy of it into him.
Okay. Now, do we still have
Just
to
a
send it?
copy.
Since I haven't sent the replevin order into the bankruptcy court, should I send that to him also?
What?
The replevin order. I haven't sent it.
You've got to get it into the clerk of the court. You get it signed, sealed, and everything else.
Okay, got it.
Your bailor's signature is your capital first letter, small letter, your full name. You as the living, okay, the owner of the bailor, you are just first and middle name.
Right.
And then
right.
you have a thumbprint, and then if you have the 2 out of 3 seal, you endorse it or
Okay.
seal it.
Good. Okay. That answers my question.
You meant embossment, embossing. You said, right?
Yeah, you crunch it. Okay,
Yeah.
you
You
that
said
way when you crunch it, they cannot counterfeit it.
Right.
That's really what an embossing is doing. It's
Right,
basically
right.
raising it so that basically nobody can counterfeit your signature and your thumbprint. Because they would never get a true, accurate reading of that. You got to look at why things are done in certain ways.
Yeah, like you said, it ties the two together. It seals it. Yeah.
Yes, but it also prevents somebody else from counterfeiting and then turning around and getting your thumbprint. I mean, how many movies out there have people taken the thumbprint off of glass and turned around and made a copy of it and broken into a safe or something?
Hmm.
Planted evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically all this information is in the movies. They've told you a lot of the answers. That's the whole gist of it. You need to put the document into the court first. But if you have any bills, you do the one that I submitted up there and the endorsement and send that into the clerk of the court at the bankruptcy.
Okay.
Now, you get that signed and stamped and have your certified mail number on it, or you go down to the clerk of the court and you get a copy of that after you get it filed into the court, time-stamped. Then you come back, you run a copy of that, and you send it to the other Bailee. Now you've informed both Bailees that they need to settle this matter. You can write another cover letter to the other Bailee, the Bailee that basically was submitting the bill to you, and say, here, you want your settlement? You need to go to the bankruptcy clerk of the court. I'm the bailor. I've gotten you two together in a state of arbitration, a neutral state of arbitration. Now get in there and arbitrate.
Good.
That's what we have to do. We have to bring the two warring partners to the table, arbitration table, to settle their matters. Okay?
Yeah, before you said that they had the bailments already and that they could get it out and take care of it. Like you told me to tell the district attorney to go I authorize him to release the credits from the bailments and take care of the matter. Now I've got to tell him to go to the bankruptcy court and go talk.
Well, basically, he's got to get. We're going to send the bill into the bankruptcy court to make sure it's settled.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to go to the higher authority over the lower authority to where they settle the bill, because basically the lower authority down here, the state, has been writing these bonds. And see, the interest and everything, the payment for those bonds has to go back to the bankruptcy bailments, to the master bailment.
Right.
They're operating with sub-bailments against your Social Security sub-bailment account.
Right.
So the assets basically have to go back into there that they've written the bonds against.
Right, I understand.
So you have to get that Bailee into the process, and basically then they won't have to make the payment back to the bailment at the the bankruptcy court. They can keep the funds that they make off the bonds they've written. Now the bill has been settled.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, you're mirroring it, or you're backing it up with the parent instead of the daughter, Bailee. Yeah, the primary. I get it. We'll listen to the phone call again, too.
Yes, and go and read the Bible and the parables about Jesus and the different slaves, okay? A sub-bailment is a slave to the master bailment. And then these local are sub-slaves to the sub-slave, okay? Jesus told us the way and the path about this banking system. He tried to put it in a metaphor that the people understood back there at that time, but half of them didn't. I've tried to use metaphors in the present time, but somehow or other people still can't understand my metaphors, and I tried to make them pretty simple. Like we're going to cut out the middleman going to the gas station. We're going to go right from the tanker truck into our vehicle, because we're going to put a converter in there going from a 4-inch line down to a 1-inch line. So we cut out the gas station. Instead of a tanker truck filling up the gas station with that 4-inch hose and then pumping it out of the gas station into a 1-inch nozzle into your car, we just totally bypass that usury fuel station in the monetary system.
Patrick?
Yeah.
I'm looking at. I'm wanting some clarity for myself, because I've been operating for quite some time since I started studying with myself operating as a custodian and a caretaker for the trust, my original trust with Creator. So this Bailee relationship and these bailments, as you've spoken of in many conversations, were benefiting our country, community, and county by taking our liabilities off of the debt record and putting it into the neutral Treasury, and this conversation of this money that's been being kept, this bailment that's been being kept until which time we rise resurrect, come to life, and go and, administer and take care of our business. So I still am seeing a relationship here with the neutral treasury being you could call an escrow, a trust where they're holding the bailments for those who come to claim them. So I know it's very important to understand the elements of a true trust. Now,
No. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
First thing you need to do is basically go and fill up the bathtub full of water, and then stick your head under the in the water there for about 10 minutes. You need to flush your mind out of all the garbage that you just mentioned there, okay? You're totally missing the big picture in this understanding, okay?
Okay.
You need to flush, okay? And that's why in the Bible there, basically, most of the prophets had to go and stay out in the desert for 40 days or 40 years to basically flush their mind away from the false items that everybody's operating with, okay?
Yeah.
That's what I had to do there at one point in time. I was on a bunch of talk shoes and everything else. And basically, I knew I was just getting run around in the wrong understandings of that. So I just shut down and basically for about a good 3-4 months. And basically said, I ain't going to listen to anything because it's just polluting my understanding. There is no trust, okay? I want to make that perfectly clear. You do not use the word trust. That is condemned in the Bible constantly. To have a trust, you are basically placing your assets in the hands of somebody else.
Which is what we did, what they did with our birth certificate.
That's a bailment, okay? We're holding it in trust, but it's not a trust, okay? See, people don't understand there's a big difference between in trust, okay, and a trust itself. That's why all these people that have gone into court and tried to use trustee and trustor and all that stuff never got anything because there is no trust. They're being held in a state of interest, okay, as a depositary. That's all what that is. It's a depositary. It's a protected safety deposit box, if you really want to look at it from the true sense.
Okay.
Okay? And the whole treasury is a big safety deposit for we the people of the country. And all we had to do as coming in as a bailor, we basically bailed our assets that we had a right to claim from the profits of the country, of the land. And this is one of the oldest laws on the books. In fact, it is probably the oldest law. Adam, I give you dominion over the earth. And then basically he passed it on down as an inheritance to all his offspring. And we're one of his offsprings, way down the line, but basically, supposedly that's where we started from. I sort of have questions about that, but that's another story. Okay? And basically, we came, and our Creator was basically all the people, all the souls, when they were in a harmonic state at the great gathering of souls. We're the ones, the souls were the ones that had the energy to create the universe. There is no other source out there than it's our souls coming together as one. Our soul is our God. Your soul is not my God. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
Because you got different beliefs than I do.
Okay, I see this now. I see this where you're speaking about the bailment is distinct in that safekeeping box, like you called it, because the distinction is there's no ownership. I see now. I see.
Yeah, we have a right of usage of
Right.
the land while we're alive, okay? And it's basically we are the owner of that account that's there. And see, that's what we got deposited in when we were born. Our initial registration went into the county land records, okay? And that made us a de jure one of we the people of the country or of the state. We became the sovereignty of the state. The state is the land of the state is the sovereign, not the government. The government was created by the people under a charter. So how could they be the sovereign? They can't. It's the land that's the sovereign. But these secondary copyrighted corporations, they claim that they have sovereignty rights. And they really don't. And they won't as soon as the people basically take their assets away from their bailments away from them and put it into the national treasury. And like I said, that national debt is what is owed to the people. And it gets deposited into our accounts. And then basically, at the end, we have to set off that. We have to come in and claim that all the national assets that are held in our bailment accounts and stop them from writing bonds and getting us to be a co-partner in their war against the people.
Yeah, you said long ago that when they write all these bonds, it was tearing the country apart. It was just creating too much debt, you know.
Yeah, and it's creating a hardship on the people. And then the people basically, they're accepting that the government is really the valid government. And when you accept that, you're accepting a false religion, a false belief. And that is contrary to the Constitution, to where they created a false religion. The First Amendment to the Constitution in the Bill of Rights.
Daniel, California.
So that's what it's all about, okay? You just come in from California, you're just missed about an hour's worth of past bullshit.
No, he's been on the call.
People
Okay.
tend to drop on and off. Sometimes their connection isn't good. So
Okay.
It's remained at 15 and 16 all the time.
But if you guys get these things downloaded, try and get a copy of it over to some of these other people that basically, there's other people out here that have questions. They know that there's something wrong. But none of these other people out there, gurus, have the answer. We've got the answer now. When you study these documents today, and then basically we come in as a neutral. See, in the letter that I sent into the clerk of the court the other day about my U.S. Bailor sanctioned bailment replevin order, I should have had neutral in there and neutralizing this, and then that I was going to process my funds over to the United States of America Neutral Depositary account. And then in a Neutral Depositary account, they cannot access that. That's what the whole gist was. They can't attack a neutral depositary.
Right.
Just like they couldn't attack Switzerland. Switzerland was a depositary, a neutral depositary.
Yeah, good point.
And that's under the laws of nations. So we get it over into the We the People Constitution depositary in a state of neutrality, and they can't touch it, and they can't touch us. They do, and basically they are violating the laws of nations. Because we're now in a different nation than everybody else that's walking around out here. And that's why they won't see you in their system, because you will be blind. You'll be walking around as a light that they just can't see. They'll be blind to seeing you. Sort of like that one movie about the one guy that basically had the glasses and basically could see all the aliens running around when he put the glasses on.
They lived.
Yeah.
So, Patrick, I'm looking at the U.S. Bailor's sub-bailment settlement order. This one here, you talk about being neutral. This one here is for the two people, the sub-bailment and the bankruptcy court, to get together. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the two Bailees.
Yeah.
This original sub-bailee, okay, who now became a sub-bailor, and basically bailed assets over to that other sub-bailee. Right. Okay, the state. So the nation, okay, who's holding our assets as a bailee, they turned around and they allowed a sub-bailment usage of that bailment, right, to the state of Iowa or to the public utility company or to the public hospital or whoever, under a different sub-bailment account. And normally all of these accounts are 9 digits.
So when you order them to settle the sub-bailment account, that's, like you said, just getting the two together to arbitrate.
Yeah, now it's their obligation. You're out of the picture.
All right, you're authorizing them to go settle the other sub-bailee account.
I'm directing them. The Bailor has the power of direction.
Yeah.
Okay, especially when you stand in a state of neutrality, you can order them to come to the peace table. Now, if they don't come to the peace table, one of the Bailors is going to go after the other Bailor and war.
So is the state then what you're calling the neutral treasury?
No.
Okay.
The bailments are neutral.
The treasury that is under the good witch of the North, the secretary of the treasury, in a neutral position. See, Glenda in the Wizard of Oz and in Oz the Great and Powerful, what was she? She was in a state of neutrality.
Yeah.
She couldn't kill, even in Alice in Wonderland. The good queen could not kill. So basically, they are in a state of neutrality. And that's where we want to be, is we want to get into that state of neutrality, and then we will be protected. The truth will always override all these falsehoods out here. And the truth is always in a state of neutrality. It's not a state of war. Truth does not stand in a state of war. You know, I'm saying this shit and I'm scaring them myself. Where in the hell do I come up with half this shit? Because when I get on a ramble, and basically the stuff just flows. I've heard a bunch of this stuff because I listen to, especially like those 5,000-year audios. I listen to the audio that I have about the Bible, and all of that stuff is in my mind subliminally, or whatever the hell it is, ingrained in there, and it's all. And then basically all the movies and everything that I've watched, it's all there. You just got to bring the information to the forefront. You got to bring it to the screen so that you can see it. You're not that dumb, people. You've got the information. You just have to force it to bring it forward to the screen to where you can see it. A lot of this information has been handed down by genetics over the years. It's in your DNA data bank.
Right, it's like a big library.
Yes. And basically, this isn't the first life that you've lived on this earth. The spirit or the soul has taken on numerous different bodies over the cycle that we're in. There's only so many souls that were deposited here on Earth, okay? Just like any other planet out there. So many souls were deposited there. So many were over here. So many were over there. And those souls take a body form, live for so long, then they go back into the ground, and then they come back to life later on. It's not the body. It's the soul that's the key component in this whole process. And your past life, how many movies you've been out there that basically people have, deja vu scenario. You've walked that path before.
Yeah, and there's other things that some shamans say. They say when the pupil's ready, the teacher appears type thing. When you have a strong desire to want to learn something, you stick with it and you achieve it, you learn it.
Yes, it will become to the forefront. The more you put your faith and belief into what is the truth, it will finally come to you. But you accept something and it will never come to you. Because in accepting, you've given up. You
Patrick?
surrendered. Yeah, go ahead.
On this diagonal endorsement, the example you gave, I don't understand what's supposed to go on the first blank. It says the blank dash U.S. Master Sub-bailment account. You said the account number is our Social Security number without dashes, correct?
Okay.
That's your account name.
Okay. It says return per certified mail. You put certified mail number there.
Oh, I guess
Tom probably put a blank there. Okay. This is the one that has the diagonal lines on it.
No, I think what she's talking about is that you have a blank in front of U.S. Master Sub-bailment account, and that should be the Tom Jones U.S. Master Sub-bailment account number, blah, blah, blah. It should be your name in caps.
Oh. Put my
Right
name and then dash U.S. Master Sub-bailment.
Right.
No, I don't know which document you're talking about. The one that has the diagonal lines above and below?
No, the
endorsement?
On the latest settlement order, the second page, the endorsement.
Oh, okay. Let me pull that one up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at
this
the
bill is being
PDF.
read by this U.S. Bailor.
It's a PDF. U.S. Bailor Sub-bailment Settlement Order, PDF. Is that what you got?
I added those names. You take the names out of the subject line.
Oh, shit. Okay, you got certified mailing number, and then basically this bill is believed by this U.S. Bailor without recourse, thereby requiring a U.S. bankruptcy Bailee neutralization settlement of credits from my master U.S. or my U.S. master sub-bailment account to discharge this sub-bailee's charge. And then it's the next line down is and that's your all capital name person that's on your Social Security card.
Oh,
Okay. Then basically you go on and it's U.S. Sub-bailment account, and that number is your Social Security number without any dashes in it.
Okay.
You take the dashes out.
All right.
And then down below you date it, and basically you put that in blue, and then your signature, and you're signing as capital first letter, name, first name, capital first letter, little letters, middle name, capital first letter, little letters, last name. That is your U.S. Bailor.
All right. And
Okay.
you were using this to set off a hospital charge or something?
Yeah, hospital charges and basically my traffic tickets and everything else. And basically they owe me funds back on that from the bailment. That basically every traffic ticket has a bailment that is attached to that, a bond, an appearance bond. So you gave them a bailment. And basically it's attached to the driver's license, the 9-digit driver's sub-bailment account. Okay? And you'll check and see that basically your driver's license is a 9-digit number. Your certificate of your title to your vehicle is a 9-digit number.
Okay.
And you operate with these 9s and you flip them upside down, and what do? You get a bunch of 666s. The mark of the beast is. Yeah. You got beast all over the place. But our du jour account, okay, that is really our master bailment is the certificate of live birth. And when we pull that one down, or like our selective service account, DD 214, that's our military bounty account. They took all the stuff away from us, okay, and they had to give us the funds in return. And they had to give us a receipt for us depositing our bailments with them. It's just like you go down to the bail bondsman and talk to them. How do they operate? They go down to the clerk of the court and they put up $1,000 for bail for somebody to get them out of jail. Okay, after the court case is settled, they go back down to the clerk of the court, and basically they have to give the receipt that they got from the clerk of the court, endorse it back to them, and then they get their bailment back. That's all we're doing here. We're taking our bailment, our master bailments, off the account, and then all the sub-bailments that these bailees for hire have been creating, they have to collapse too. They have to come back to the source. Just like in the Matrix, Neil had to go in to the master bailee, who was Mr. Smith, and when he collapsed Mr. Smith, all the other little Mr. Smiths, the driver's license, the Social Security, not Social Security, the driver's license, all these other little Mr. Smiths out there you created, the bank accounts, you name it, they go away. They have to collapse. Because they no longer have the funds, the supporting bailment out there. And without the supporting collateral, they disappear. I tried to state that in numerous different ways over the years, but I didn't see it as I was addressing a lot of this stuff, but I didn't see it as the Bailee Bailor scenario and all these sub-bailments. That's why I tried to put a bunch of these definitions in the documents there about the letter of credit, about the bailment, about the sub-bailment, about the bailees, bailee for hire, hire and retain, and basically they got you to be a warring partner with them. Therefore, you became a criminal. Then when you use without recourse, you as the bailor are exonerated from any liability. That's why I added to that statement, this bill is believed by this U.S. bailor without recourse. And you can look up the word belief in the dictionary. And belief is a religion. That's one of the words that down below says go look up. See also religion. And then we're requiring the U.S. bankruptcy bailee into a neutralization settlement of the credits. They have to neutralize it. A charge, okay? Just like a lightning bolt is a charge. It has to be discharged. It just can't go floating around out there in space. So how does it get discharged? It comes to ground. You're going to ground it out. And the sub-bailee basically is the one who's supplying the charge, and we have to bring it into our master sub-bailment account and have it discharged. That is now the ground for that charge. I know it's a lot of stuff to wrap your mind around, but basically I think if you listen to these calls and take some notes and sort of lay out some flow charts, I tried to give you a sort of a basic flow chart there a week or two ago on this. You can take that and sort of add to it.
Well, both these endorsements are similar, but one's by, and then it says Bailor's authorized representative, and that would be, like you say, your name, first letter capital, and then small letters, or it's not like the other one where you're the witness to the Bailor.
Where it says Bailor, it's always your full name. Okay, you're Bailor, you're fiction, you're son of man. Okay.
Right. Unless you're the witness of it.
Unless you're the living spirit, and see, basically the living spirit is the one who basically puts everything down in writing. Okay? Because it's the spirit that moves the body. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could print the name for the Bailor. But you want to try and get everything in a written format to where you show motion from a living body. That brings the spirit into the thing because the body can't operate without the spirit. It's just a blob.
Right. Okay, thanks, Patrick. That makes sense. I know you said it before. I was just verifying it.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or anything?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Okay.
All right. Is it still advantageous to use in admiralty on most of our documents?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Another question
What's the first 5 letters in admiralty stand for?
Prince.
Prince. Okay? If the nation is the land is the sovereign, and we the people, and most all state constitutions call it out, that we the people are the sovereignty of the great state of Iowa, or the great state of whatever, the land. Okay? It doesn't say the great government of Iowa or whatever. It says the great state of land. Is what it's really referring to in that state. Okay? It's the landmass, which is the sovereign. And then if you are a sovereignty of the land, that means you are a prince of the sovereign. So admiralty, the first 5 letters stand for prince. The first 4 letters in America stand for prince. So they're telling you, you are the sovereignty right there in the word America. Princes of the land who have understanding. I can, individual understanding. Can means understandings. I stands for individual. Now you've got America. Or an American, okay? But you have to get in a state of neutrality. You have to go over to the white castle, not to the red warring castle in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I noticed how this word neutralize that you're using now, it sounds very similar to repatriate. So, it seems very similar.
Yeah, see, everybody's been using national out there and never getting any place using the word national because the word that we should have been using was neutral. Yeah, when you're in neutral, you have not engaged into war or engaged into gear, okay?
Okay, thank you, Patrick. I had another couple of questions. In the past,
go ahead.
In the past, you were talking about perpetuities and also about the U.S. trustee, how he's kind of like an imposter. How does that apply with our new perspective now?
Well, the U.S. trustee might be the neutral person that we need to get this into. So I'm going to send a copy of this, what I sent to the clerk of the court, to that neutral trustee or to that trustee. I'm also going to send it to the chief judge and basically state that I'm coming in a state of neutrality. I'm a neutral. I claim my right of neutrality. I want to go to Switzerland and get my Swiss Army knife. Yeah, Swiss Army knives, the ones that had all the little gadgets.
Well, they try to get us to war. Like in my situation, everybody says, "Oh, you should put in a counterclaim." Well, then you're going to war with them.
Yeah, you're just building upon the fact that you're in there. You've got to come out and basically stand as a neutral and bring the two Bailees to the table.
Right.
You're the Bailor. You have to order the two Bailees that have the charge and have the discharging capability to the table for settlements. I'm here for settlements.
Yeah, because all these charges, I don't have that kind of money floating around that they could just, every time you turn around, they charge you $1,200 or $1,500 because you don't have a sticker.
Well, they can't charge you if you get into a state of neutrality.
Right.
Okay? When you start using that word, they can't charge you.
Right.
And when you get this into the bankruptcy clerk of the court, and you can modify that document that I had up there and put down that you are so ordered by U.S. Treasury Bailor, okay? Take
right.
the Bailor and small, capital B, and then small letters.
Right.
And then basically say, in a state of neutrality. And then basically as the living person, you are an American neutral Bailor's owner. Look at the latest write-ups that I did in the document that I sent to the clerk of the court with my court bill, and then go back to the other one to where you're going in and ordering the termination of your bailments, and make the appropriate corrections for the signature lines. You can add things in there because you're going to delete out some of the stuff because most of you don't have a DD-214 or anything like that, so you can take out all of that. You're only going to have one bailment that you have on deposit.
Yeah, we're going to go get and use our certificate of live birth to be the Bailor, and then we're going to use the secondary U.S. master sub-bailment account, Social Security number without the dashes, for the other Bailees.
So that's to settle the bills, okay?
Okay, bills, okay.
Yes.
But it could be anybody, yeah.
That is basically the sub-bailment, that basically the bankruptcy Bailee. But when you close down your account, you're just going to go in and pick up your master bailment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You will surrender all the other when they come and see you, your driver's license, those sub-bailment receipts that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's what you can do into the court. If you have those, surrender them. But basically, you get in there and you're coming in. I'm coming in as a neutral, an American neutral.
Yeah, that's important.
And I'm here to basically bring a neutralization to this item. I see that one Bailee is present, but I don't see the other Bailee present. And so this has to be directed to the other Bailee which is the bailee up at the bankruptcy court.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to get your traffic tickets and everything. You basically do the endorsement, and you send them right up to that bankruptcy bailee, and then you send a copy of what you sent to the bankruptcy bailee to the county court.
Yeah. I get it.
Then you've notified both bailees that they need to bring this into neutralization.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay?
I got it.
Anybody else?
I was just mentioning that also so that people, don't do the wrong thing and get tricked or turn around and take bad advice from somebody. We have to think on our own. We got to be on the right horse here.
Yes, you have to stand as a neutral.
Yeah.
And most all these patriots that out here have always been trying to be another person at war. They just didn't realize that that's what they were doing. They were standing in a state of war. Because as long as bailment is sitting out there, they have you in a state of war. You just don't realize it. Because you're funding a warring power. Listen to the 5,000-year history. And basically George Washington stated right in there, and several of the others, that America was supposed to be a neutral. We were never to side in a war conflict with another nation. We could trade with them, but we were not to support their warring efforts. We weren't supposed to support Israel in their damn bullshit out here of constantly being at war with all the Arabs.
Right.
Does it make any sense? I mean, basically like Germany. Hell, we had more Germans here in this country than we did English in some cases.
Right, German could have been the national language.
And now we got a whole bunch of Arabs that have come over here, Muslims. And basically a lot of them were here before the English ever came over or the Europeans ever came over here because they were Moors.
We had a few of them on the calls earlier, a year ago.
Yeah, but see, there again, they didn't understand this Bailor process. They just wanted to operate with lawful money, okay, non-usury. Well, see, when you come out with it as a neutral, you cannot be using usury. You can't have a savings account getting paid interest.
So our birth certificate accounts like for us and for our needs, not the sub-bailee's needs. Would you say that?
No, when we left it on deposit, we put it into a bailee's hands, and basically they were a bailee for hire.
Right.
So they could hire out our bailment.
Yeah.
Our bailment, when we left them there, we were bailing out the bankrupt corporation, United States, and all the all capital state of corporations that were copyrighted under the Master United States copyright out of the Bank of London in 1871.
Yeah, they think they own the name.
They own the all capital name.
Yeah.
And see, it's a copyright.
Right.
That means it's a copy of something. That only gave them the right to the copy, not to the original.
Right. Yeah, you use copy as copyright and copy hold. A copy hold is they can only hold like that license number or other numbers attached, like you say, the sub-bailment.
Yes, they can only hold the copy. They can't hold the original. Right. We are the holders of the original. But we have to be in a state of neutrality, or else we've lost that right. Because we've entered into the war, and basically now we come capability of fodder in the process that they can come and shoot us at any time they want to.
Until you get to neutral.
Okay?
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, call tonight, Tom.
Thank you, Patrick.
Okay.
Very helpful.
Later.
Okay, good night.
Okay.